This episode contains adult themes and is not appropriate for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, the world. This is They Will Kill, a true crime podcast. I am Courtney Eck.
And I'm Sadie Eck.
And hoo boy, do we have some things to talk to you about today. It is November 9th, 2020. We'll save it for the end of the show, but stick around if you want to hear us ramble on and on about this new phase of our democracy. Woo!
Yeah, man.
But you're not here for that necessarily. Some of you are, but a lot of you are like, just shut up. We don't care about your political opinions. God bless you all. I don't know what that meant. But I meant it affectionately, but it sounded sort of... Anyway, we love you. We're glad you're here, and you're here to talk about murder. So I'll shut up and let Sadie talk about some murder.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Tonight we're going to talk about Babes in the Woods murders, Pine Grove Furnace.
So today I started looking up my next story, and this was going to be it.
What?
I am serious. I didn't do any research at all, so I actually don't know anything that happened. But I swear to my life, this was going to be my next story.
So funny. Where did you find it?
No idea. Probably Reddit. I have no idea.
Because I found another Babes in the Woods murder. There's actually multiple.
What? And
I read up on one that's unsolved, and I didn't quite feel like there was enough, and some other podcasts have covered it. But then when I was looking around, I think I got onto Wikipedia or whatever, and they were like, this is Babes in the Woods, this town, but there's also Babes in the Woods over here. And I was like, wait a minute.
What?
So I started, so this is in Pine Grove Furnace, Pennsylvania.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Okay. On November 24th, 1934, two men were looking for firewood in Pine Grove Furnace State Park in south central Pennsylvania. As they were hiking through the woods, a green blanket caught their attention. It was covering something, quote, like a knoll. Thinking
like
it was
a knoll? Like a knoll. K-N-O-L-L,
yeah,
or however you spell
like
it.
a small hill.
Not like a knoll, the marriage.
Right. Like a knoll, your sisterhood.
That was emancipate. You really want to dig that back up?
Yeah.
Really want to go there again? I'm game. Boop, 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 boop. Hello, lawyer.
Time for the annulment. Thinking it was a deer carcass, but puzzled by why it was covered so carefully, they looked underneath. They were horrified to find the bodies of 3 little girls under the blanket.
Oh, man.
They were described as having light brown hair, freckles, and gray eyes, and looked to be roughly 5, 10, and 14 years old.
Holy shit.
They were dressed in new coats with fur collars, new shoes, dresses, and silk underwear. Quote, the smallest child was cuddled in the arms of the oldest, the Gettysburg Time reported. One arm of the 10-year-old girl was thrown across the other 2. They also reported them as being, quote, tucked tenderly under a blanket. They had no obvious signs of injury, and authorities believed they were sisters.
Wow.
And to help understand this case, it's important to know a little bit about 1934 United States. The U.S. was in the middle of the Great Depression, which lasted from 1929 to 1939. By 1933, when the Great Depression reached its lowest point, some 15 million Americans were unemployed and nearly half the country's banks had failed. So big trouble, y'all.
Yeah, that was not a fun, cool time. People were eating ketchup packets and shit. I don't know if ketchup packets were invented, but...
Probably not.
Ketchup.
No,
but this whole time, my whole life, I've imagined people sucking on ketchup packets. It's just now dawning on me that probably wasn't a thing. I don't know what ketchup came in the 1930s, but...
A bottle?
I don't want to eat ketchup as a meal. Bottom line.
No. A black bag was found near the bodies. It contained, quote, a jumble of clothes of every type, most of them soiled but in good or fair quality. Most of the clothes appeared to be for the children, except for one gray shirt that was made for a man from a store in Napa, California. Children's books were also found, but labels which may have contained their names had been torn off. Only the name Norma was found in one of the books. When word spread, the story became a media sensation, and the public joined in the search to identify the sisters. An autopsy was performed, and at first they couldn't find a cause of death for the girls, but they eventually decided that they had been smothered to death.
Oh, no.
They hadn't had a meal in quite some time before they died. Authorities opened the morgue to the public, hoping that someone would be able to identify the girls. It's estimated that 10,000 people came to see the bodies. A few people thought they knew the girls, but none of the leads panned out. Police searched local school records, hoping to find 3 sisters who had missed school in the past few days, but none were found. They needed to bury the bodies, as no long-term cold storage was available at the time, so they made, quote, death masks of the girls' faces to help identify them.
Wow.
As local leads dried up, police expanded their search, eventually searching across the country to more than 28 states. At its peak, more than 100 officers were assigned to the investigation, and they interviewed thousands of people.
Wow. Can you imagine searching that extensively in the 30s?
No.
Also, Can you imagine finding 3 young girls' bodies and nobody claiming them?
Right. Yeah.
It's bizarre.
So crazy.
Bear Brook, to this day, one of my favorite of all-time cases, because you can't find 3 people dead and nobody claims them. It's just too odd.
Right. And luckily these girls get claimed pretty quickly, but yeah, it's
still,
really...
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you lose 3 children? And
right.
Yeah. And when you look around the internet on this case, there are pictures of the girls deceased in the forest, which I will not be posting, but there's also pictures of the molds they made of their faces. I'll post some of those. Ooh. And I guess all of their, like, the clothing and these death masks and all of it's a big deal in this area of Pennsylvania. And you can still go see it at a museum in what's it called? Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
There's like a museum with the stuff in it.
No way.
Yeah. The day after the girls were found, a man and woman were found shot to death in apparent murder-suicide over 100 miles away near Altoona, Pennsylvania. The woman's breast had been exposed and she had been shot through the heart and then again in the head. The man had been killed by a single self-inflicted gunshot wound to his head. At first, the 2 cases seem unrelated, but when a bag was found near the bodies of the man and woman with clothing matching that found at the scene where the girls were found, police started to put the pieces together. So they found another bag of clothes near the couple. Uh-huh. And noticed that the clothing was similar to what the girls had been wearing or had in their bag. Uh-huh. Police received a tip from an owner of a boarding house who believed a man and woman with 3 children spent the night at the house on November 17th. The man who booked the room used the name J.C. Cowden of California, but this proved to be an alias. Then on November 30th, an abandoned 1929 Pontiac sedan was found near McVeighstown and was traced to a man named Elmo Noes of Roseville, California. When authorities compared the dead man's fingerprints to Elmo's fingerprints available from military records, they matched. Uh-huh. It turned out that Elmo, his 3 daughters, Norma Sedgwick, who was 12, Delilah Noakes, who was 10, and Cordelia Noakes, who was 8, and his 19-year-old niece, Winifred Pierce, had been missing from California for a couple of weeks. They had finally been found.
Oh, no.
As police tried to put the pieces of the puzzle together, they found more questions than answers. Elmo James Noakes was born January 8, 1903 in Springville, Utah. He served in the United States Marine Corps from 1920 to 1922 with his brother Robert. On July 28, 1923, Elmo married a woman named Mary, who had 1 daughter, Norma, from her previous marriage. Elmo and Mary went on to have 2 children together, Delilah, who was born May 2nd, 1924, and Cordelia, who was born June 2nd of 1926. And let me tell you,
best names.
I know. I was just going to say, Delilah is just
Delilah, Cordelia, and also I didn't know that Elmo was actually a real name of a person's name. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone named Elmo. I thought it was just like cute,
just Sesame
cute.
Street.
Sure. Do you know any Big Birds? I was going to say Kermit's, but that's a real name.
No wonder. I guess I hadn't...
Cookie Monster?
Elmo feels like such an old-timey name that when I read about it, it didn't really strike me, I guess.
It totally struck me. Never heard of an Elmo ever.
That's cute.
Elma. I know some Elmas, which is cute.
I'll have to look up what other Elmos are out there. Probably not a lot nowadays.
Definitely not. Can you imagine? No. Oh, boy.
Sadly, on July 10th, 1932, Mary died from septicemia hemolytic, which is a fancy term for a blood infection, after a self-induced abortion in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. After Mary's death, Elmo took his daughters to Roseville, California, where his 3 sisters could help raise them. One of his nieces, the daughter to Elmo's oldest sister, was Winifred Price. She started working for Elmo, cleaning, cooking, and taking care of his children while he was at work. Elmo was known to have a good reputation around town. He was described as kind and loving. He was not known to ever be violent. He lived in a nice home. It was mentioned that it was well stocked with food. Before he left for Pennsylvania, Elmo had a good job with the Pacific Fruit Express in Roseville, California. At the time he left, he was owed $50 in pay. He fled his home quickly, leaving most of the family's belongings behind, and did not collect his earnings.
What? $50 at that time was probably equivalent to like $107,000 today.
Yep. And to leave your house and your job.
Everything. And
drive across country with your family. And then like at the peak of the Depression.
Uh-huh.
Like what? Why?
What? Yeah. Tell me why.
I wish I knew.
Oh, you don't know?
Well, we have theories, but...
Oh, man.
I know. In September of 1934, Elmo took out life insurance policies on his children and then changed the beneficiary of his own life insurance from his children to his sister, Winifred's mother.
Uh-huh.
He then bought a blue sedan in October. He and his family fled from California just 10 days later. Not much is known about their cross-country trip. A woman came forward saying that she was at a Philadelphia restaurant eating with her son on November 18th when a couple with 3 girls came in and sat at the next table. When the man told the children they would have to share a meal, the woman invited the youngest girl to come eat with her and her son. The parents readily agreed. She told police that the young girl told her, quote, "Daddy is looking for work. I'm kind of tired and this food tastes awfully good."
Oh.
She also remembers the man asked the restaurant owner for work and told him, quote, "My child are beginning to burden me." After being seen at the restaurant, a man came forward saying that days later he'd picked up 2 hitchhikers in McVeigh. They matched the description of Elmo and Winifred. He drove them an hour west to the town of Altoona. They no longer had the girls with them. Once in Altoona, they tried to pawn Elmo's glasses, but couldn't sell them, so Winifred pawned her coat, and Elmo used some of the money to purchase the rifle he later used to kill them.
What is happening?
The day after they bought the rifle, their bodies were found dead in a railroad station near Duncansville, 15 miles south of Altoona.
Why?
The people of Carlisle, Pennsylvania came together and decided to give the girls a, quote, "simple but impressive funeral." The American Legion donated money to pay for the funeral, and the local funeral home donated their services. The sisters were dressed in white and placed in their caskets. Boy and Girl Scouts served as their pallbearers. Around 400 people turned out in heavy rain on December 1st to see the girls laid to rest in a donated plot in Carlisle's Westminster Cemetery.
That's so sweet.
It's so sweet. Their monument at the grave reads, quote, "Sleep, tender blossoms, folded so close in slumber, which broken shall be by his gentle voice whispering low, little children, oh come unto me."
Wow.
I know. Elmo and Winifred were later buried in the same cemetery. So we'll never know what caused Elmo to take his family on a sudden cross-country trip, or why they all ended up dead.
I hate that.
I know. Many theories have circulated through the decades. Police seem to believe one of 2 theories, the first being that Elmo decided to flee after he and Winifred started a romantic relationship.
That would be my first guess.
Knowing their family wouldn't approve, they decided to go east. But then why leave in such a hurry?
Right.
When they ran out of money on their cross-country trip, Elmo killed the girls because he could no longer support them, is the theory.
Right.
But Elmo's brother couldn't believe that. He told reporters, quote, "I lived for 2 months with him, and he never raised a hand toward his children. I don't think he killed them. He loved them. He was as good to them as any man could be." Elmo also had a home in California and a good job and 2 weeks of pay, like we've already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Why not use the money he had made with Winifred's coat to try to make it back to California? The girls hadn't had food in a while before their deaths, but they were by no means starving.
Mm-hmm.
It seems unlikely that an otherwise loving father would so quickly decide to kill his daughters without first exhausting all of his other options.
Yeah, that seems a little hasty.
Yeah. And they'd been gone 2-3 weeks. It wasn't, hadn't been very long.
Right. Not months. Just like, well, can't provide for you.
Right. Like they have this whole setup back in California. Like, what?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense unless they're running away from something.
Right.
There that they can't go back to.
But what?
But even so, like, you wouldn't just kill your daughters.
Right. You bring your kids to their grandparents or something, or to the police, and then kill yourself if you feel that desperate. But why kill your kids and then kill yourself?
Right.
Any other theories?
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
The second theory that some police believe is that an automobile exhaust accidentally killed the sisters. The family was short on money, and it was winter, so it's possible that they parked in a closed-in space to sleep one night and left the engine running to stay warm.
Uh-huh.
The girls would have succumbed to the exhaust first because they were smaller. Once the adults realized what had happened, they were afraid of being held responsible and felt tremendous guilt for letting the girls die, so they decided to put them in the woods, abandon the car, and ultimately committed suicide.
No, don't buy it. Next.
I mean, I think it's an interesting theory that it was an accident, but...
Yeah, but I don't know.
So other theories that just sort of were out there here and there, but without a lot of information or basis.
Yeah.
Another theory includes a cult killing due to a, quote, sign or mystic symbol found on the oldest sister Norma's forehead.
Now we're talking, yeah.
Experts dispute this and say it was not a symbol, but a superficial head wound caused at some point.
Cult symbol, for sure. Haven't seen it, haven't read anything about it. Feel confident that's what the motive was.
Case solved.
Yeah.
Some believed the family was chased out of California by an armed gang, or that Elmo was suffering from mental illness and was fleeing some imaginary evil.
Yep.
I couldn't find any information or, like, backstory on this armed gang or why they would be chasing him out of California.
Right.
It was just something that popped up in one of the articles without any, like, facts.
That was one of the first things that I thought of, that it would make more sense that somebody would be pursuing him for some reason. But what?
Right,
why? And why would he take his kids with him?
Right.
Is the other thing. Why wouldn't he, unless his kids were in direct danger. And
Right.
they were murdered also because they were in direct danger, and he was trying to get them away from whatever the danger was, and the danger found them. Whether the danger was him or something else.
Right. And I don't know that there was, I think it was a pretty, I don't think there was any investigation on the murder-suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that it was just a murder and somebody shot Elmo and made it look like a suicide?
Right.
That same person killed the girls. They abandoned the car and took Elmo and Winifred away. I mean, these are like pure speculation from me, who is not an expert on the case. But
you know who it was?
It could be something like that.
It was Big Fruit. Big Fruit was after him.
Oh, Big Fruit.
He got
from the fruit company.
From the fruit company. He learned too much. He knew something.
Oh.
He knew that they were developing Honeycrisp, and that shit was going to take over Red Delicious and revolutionize the way we enjoy apples moving forward. Yeah. And he tried to stop it, and shit got out of hand.
Could be. I think you're onto it. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. So we're talking about trying to flee the imaginary evil.
Yeah.
He killed his girls to protect himself and then realized what he'd done, or he needed to complete his plan and killed Winifred and himself. Right. If he's having this mental break.
Right. Which it seems plausible, too.
Sure. After the bodies had been identified, the drama inside the Elmo's extended family came into focus when 2 of Elmo's sisters were each given a suspended 90-day jail sentence for disturbing the peace by harassing the third sister, who was Winifred's mother.
Whoa.
The charges were brought against them by Winifred's brother. So, does that make sense? So we've got...
Yeah.
Yeah. Her brother is bringing charges against his aunts.
Right.
Plural, his aunts.
For harassing his mother.
Right. So he claimed that the sisters came to the house to offer their condolences and support for Winifred's death, but a fight broke out. They started accusing Winifred's mother of spreading stories about their brother Elmo. She said that, quote, if it hadn't been for your family, he'd still be alive. She further claimed that she, quote, warned Elmo not to have anything to do with Winifred and that she could make him do about anything she wanted him to.
Uh-oh.
Both sisters denied the charges against them in court, and when they were sentenced, they screamed furiously and disrupted the court, requiring the judge to restore order.
I like it. I like all these people. We got like this Lolita Winifred character using her feminine ways to get what she wants. I like the cult pursuing them. All of it. Like these hysterical
Spices
sisters.
it up quite a bit.
It's very old-timey. It just really feels all so dramatic.
Yeah, it really does. Elmo's brother responded to the media by saying, quote, there's been trouble in the family for years. I guess that's why Elmo went away. He also claimed that, quote, there was trouble in the Pierce home. This is where Winifred lived. Mrs. Pierce and her husband didn't get along sometimes. My brother made a home for Winifred. It was more pleasant there, and so when he left, I suppose she felt she would be happier with him. That's what the brother said.
Right.
When asked about his 3 quarreling sisters, Robert said, quote, those 3 sisters are as good as gold, but they just don't seem to understand each other all the time. And then there are stories about, quote, boyfriends, and it's all rot and just made up for spite.
What does that mean?
I guess there was... So there's stories about boyfriends with these sisters that they made up about each other. But he thinks that it's all just rot and made up to spite each other.
Got it.
So just some family dramas happening there.
Got it.
He felt that the strife in the family may have caused Elmo to leave. Quote, sometimes I don't blame Elmo, because in 1930 I went away for a couple of years myself to Tucson, Arizona to get away from it. I think that's just what he did.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but that's all I got for you.
Dang it. Dang it. How old was Winifred?
18, 19?
Yeah. Do we think maybe she killed the daughters and then he freaked out on her and killed himself?
I mean, could be.
Maybe.
There just wasn't a whole lot of backstory on who they were and what they did, and just the little bits that I could find. I don't think it was a terribly long time that she worked with the family.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see any reports at all that she was not kind to the girls.
Right.
I mean, but it could be.
Yeah.
But then, like, if she killed the girls and then he planned to kill her, and then they went and hitchhiked and bought the coat, like, pawned the coat and got the money and got it. I mean, it seems very, like, they would have to be in cahoots together with this plan, if that's what happened.
So maybe she said, not to blame this all on Winifred, but I'm just exploring our options here. Maybe she was like, I want to be with you, but we got to get rid of these kids, because that does happen. Where new spouses don't like the kids, want them out of the picture, and so they leave to dispose of the children and start a new life by themselves when nobody knows that they're uncle and niece. And they don't have to deal with the kids anymore either. Seems like a stretch if he was a good dad, but I just don't understand what else it could be.
I know. I don't understand why he would bring the girls. Like, he and Winifred, if that's the case, they could have just left and gone, and the girls would have had multiple aunts and uncles. And I know that there was a mention of a grandma who identified their bodies, and there was family available, that was around. And it seemed like the family in general was pretty well off. So why not leave the girls and just run away with your niece?
Dang it. I don't know. Mental illness does seem like the most plausible motive.
Yeah, super stressful time.
Yes.
Feeling really, when I think, like, we'll just go back to California, but it's not like it is now. It wouldn't be easy just to turn them back around.
I'm sure a car went like 25 miles per hour.
Yes.
Just making up tons of shit about the auto industry in the 30s, but
it only cost $50, so.
It costs $50. went 15 miles per hour. Took him 3.5 months to get from California to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so weird. It's so weird when people do that. It's so weird. I mean, I guess it's weird, though, when they do it, you know, where men kill their whole families just to start over in, like, Barbados or something. Like, just start over in Barbados. Why kill your whole family first, you know? Just leave them alone. Just leave them.
Right.
Like, what are they going to do? Come get you? You know?
Right.
Like, no. I guess you'll be financially responsible, but you can also just evade that if you go far enough away. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Nope. Do any of you out there know?
Why? It's got to be mental illness. Everybody back then was like drinking corn whiskey and weird shit and like going crazy, right? That's just what
Right.
there's lots of
When was
ways to go
prohibition.
nuts. That was going to be my question too. Yeah.
I want to say that was before, but I think it lasted a really long time.
I'm always so surprised at how long Prohibition lasted.
Well, honestly, I was surprised at how long the Great Depression lasted. It was 10 years. Which,
God, that is so long.
yeah.
That is so long. Yeah, that is surprising. I would have said 4 or 5. or
Oh,
something.
well, maybe this is it. So the Prohibition was from 1920 to 1933, and this story happened in 1934. So maybe Elmo just started drinking too much.
Went a little whiskey crazy.
Yeah. I don't
That's so
know.
weird. That's so weird, man.
So there you go, guys.
Well,
Babes in the Woods murder.
first order of business, when I get to the heaven and the pearly gates, I'm just going to be like, great, yep, and never-ending happiness, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me about all the unsolved murders. I just need it. Just put me in the room with all the information, starting with Jean Monnet, and then just take me on through. Because, dang it, man.
I know.
Dang it.
I know. Yeah. And it's like, probably who did this to the girls, but not the why, and that's really hard.
It's really hard. Just like Bear Brook. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I've mentioned this podcast 1,000 times because it's just so freaking good. Bear Brook, about, was it a woman and 2 little girls got found in a barrel, or 3? 2, I think.
I think it's 2, and then there was a third
Girl.
like a part of the story, but who survived.
Right. And it is the most interesting. It was cold case forever. Couldn't figure out who these people were in this barrel, and it's just fascinating. Luckily, they solved it, so I don't have to cover that case when I get to heaven. But man, so good.
Yeah, it really is. One of the best out there.
Well, good work,
Thanks.
jerk. Good work, jerk.
I know.
Way to keep me up at night, putting all the pieces together with the red string, with the old-timey murder.
I know. Well, I want to go to the museum now. So let's go to Pennsylvania. Give everybody high fives for helping us elect Joe Biden as our next president. And then go to the museum.
Yeah. You guys did it. You guys did it. I mean, a lot of people did it, but Pennsylvania, fist shake, fist shake, fist shake.
Yay!
Yay! Yay!
Can you even believe it?
No, I can't. I can't. And for those of you who are listening who are more conservatively leaning, and I know that you're out there, and I love you for listening, because I don't understand why you do, but thank you for listening to us.
And when we say that, it's more about good for you for being able to listen to people talk about things that you don't believe in.
Yes. Yeah, if I tuned into a true crime podcast and they were like,
Trump
I hate trans people, or I'd be like, boop, boop, off.
Yes.
So good for you guys for sticking in and having open hearts and minds to experience ideas that are counter to your own. But I just want to say quickly that it is the best feeling to feel safe. Mm-hmm. We all really want us to feel safe. And we have felt profoundly, deeply, to ourselves, we have felt unsafe for the last 4 years. And I understand people supporting Trump for economic reasons, kind of, although there's a million articles about how he didn't do that much better than any other president. In fact, Clinton did way better than he did. But economically speaking, there are certain things I understand. And coming from a conservative place and living in a fairly conservative place, I do think that Sadie and I have better insight into the Trump camp. But I do want to say that it has not been good, and I'm glad it's over. But I also don't like the idea that other people are feeling scared now. I don't want us to live in a country where half of the country has to feel terror for the other half to feel good. I don't think that that's sustainable. I don't think it's fair. I don't know what the answer is. But if you are currently feeling terrified and you want to talk to us about that, I am very open to having that conversation. I reached out to my conservative friends after Trump was elected just to kind of start to wrap my mind around it. And it helped a lot. It actually helped a lot. And it helped me, I think, become a better person. And it doesn't change the fact that I think Trump is an absolute fucking monster. But it helped me understand his followers better. And I think that's important. And I would love to offer that to people who are feeling like shit right now. Because...
Right. Well, it seems like the biggest problem that we have to overcome is that divide, is that both sides are being demonized.
Right.
Democrats to Republicans, Republicans to Democrats.
Right.
And when you have this enemy, this other that you can fight against, then people with lots of money and power can do what they want because we're distracted.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I think we definitely live in a safer world and safer country.
Yep.
It will be a healthier country. We will fucking get this pandemic under control.
Correct.
I mean, I just can't even tell you the amount of hope, and I'm going to cry about it because it's just like...
Yep.
On election night, when it seemed like 2016 was happening again...
Yep.
I laid in bed, I turned the TV off, and I went to bed knowing that I had to sleep. I couldn't just stay up and worry.
Right.
And I had to, settle into this idea again of, what future do my children have? And just these huge, big, scary feelings.
Yeah.
And then to wake up in the morning and to see, I saw a lot of hope with the numbers and all of that. So I started to feel better. And, as the momentum grew and the mail-in ballots started to be counted and things really started to shift, and then especially when it became clear, when he was announced to be the president-elect, this weight was like, holy shit, man.
Yep.
I knew that I was scared and that I was worried all the time for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But I had no idea just how bad it was.
Yeah.
Until that pressure was gone.
Right.
And I can feel a part of something again. I felt so closed off from the world and misunderstood, and watching this country that I love so much just go down the toilet, and we were just shutting out everything other than white rich people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly the point.
So I just I can sit here today feeling like my children have some sort of a future. There's so much we have to do, so much work to be done. Yep. We got to get big, big, big issues under control for that to be really true.
Yep.
But I know that we have that chance now.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Biden in office, and that we stood up for our democracy in a very big and very important way. Yep. A couple days ago. So
yeah. Yeah, and the world, I think the biggest point is that Trump's America does not leave room for everybody to a very, just by a long shot. And you can say that it does all that you want. It does not. As somebody who is not included in Trump's America, I can tell you conclusively, it's not the case. It's not safe. It's not fucking fair. It's not equitable. It it's just not. And I know people are afraid of, oh, well, my, oil company is going to go. Well, it's not. Like, it's just.
It's not how this works.
And it's not Democrat versus Republican. It's that technology is advancing so quickly and we're leaving people behind because the rich are getting richer and they're sucking all the resources out of the middle class. And so people aren't getting proper education, so they don't have a chance to be anything but a coal miner or a fucking oil worker or whatever, We need to level the playing field a little bit so that more people have those opportunities and that people aren't getting left behind, especially conservative people without money. It's just,
right.
You're suffering, and we recognize that, but it's not because Democrats want you to suffer. So
right. Well, it's not because people from other countries are coming in here,
no,
and taking your jobs, or
no.
On and on and on.
On and on and on. I know. We're not here to change hearts and minds because it's just not really how this works. But I do want to extend that opportunity. If you are more conservative, you want to have conversations. I've thought a million times about starting like a liberal conservative book club where we swap information earnestly to help understand each other better. But
like you listen to an hour of NPR.
Right.
And I will listen to an hour of
Ben Shapiro video. Yeah. Exactly. It's very complicated. And if anything, in this last year, I've learned that it's all very, very, very complicated. And I've said this a million times. The best you can do is just to be kind and admit when you're wrong. And I don't know.
Yeah. Talk to each other.
Yeah, and get off social media. Take breaks, man. Just take some fucking breaks.
Big time.
God, we're all our worst selves on there, aren't we? We are just we're all trolls. That's the thing. Like, my friends get freaked out because so-and-so said something, and I'm like, you're also a troll on social media, because we all are. We all get on there and like, that little lizard brain fires off, and we just start saying the shit. And, on here even, I think on this podcast, I think my lizard brain fires and I have these reactions and I say them, and, I have to check in with that stuff because it's just so easy to not be a human being if you're not careful. And I don't know how we get back to that more and check in with that more. I think that there are movements calling for more of that, but woof. Just be kind. I don't know. Start there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't get taken advantage of. Yeah. Yep. But if you think somebody's a sociopath, fuck them.
Don't ask questions.
Don't be kind. Be assertive.
My therapist, was one of her like mandates, for a better word. When I started with her, she was like, how about you just stay off of Facebook in particular and see how that feels. And I have, for the last 4 or 5 months, I'll check once in the morning just to see if I have any notifications.
Yep.
I don't scroll. I check to see if anything crazy's happening for They Will Kill, and then I leave. And I've done that, and I'm just such a better person.
Yes.
I feel so much better. I'm very soon going to just delete the damn Facebook altogether.
Yeah, it's garbage heap. It's terrible.
Garbage. Yep.
Instagram's pretty good.
You know what's not garbage? Oh, sorry.
TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok yet.
I'm not either, but it is really fun I have the app. I mean, I'm assuming I'm like technically on it. I'm signed into it, but it's really fun. It's a happier place.
I like watching people when people post TikTok videos. I really enjoy watching them.
Yeah. What else do you not hate? People who give us reviews that we've asked for?
Well, those, but real quick, before we do that, I don't hate our promo for the week.
Oh, who is it?
Forensic Tales with host Courtney Fretwell. We love us a Courtney, if you guys didn't know.
Similar to how Sadie and I are going to solve crimes moving forward, we're also going to recommend podcasts based on the names of the hosts. And if your name is Courtney or Sadie.
Yeah, do you want us to play a podcast promo? Sorry,
your name is
Michael Ojibwe.
Michael Ojibwe.
We're just not going to play your promo, buddy.
No, you're the best in the game. Best.
But you're not named Courtney or Sadie.
It's a very specific protocol that we follow. Got to stick to it.
That's right.
Gotta have standards.
Anyway. So should we play Courtney's promo real quick?
Yes.
So she says that Forensic Tales is a true crime podcast with a forensic twist. Sign me up.
Yes.
I love that shit.
That's our jam. Here you go. Take a listen.
Do you find yourself searching for a new true crime podcast to binge? This is Courtney Fretwell, host of the weekly true crime podcast Forensic Tales, inviting you to come give the show a listen. Forensic Tales is a weekly podcast that discusses real, bone-chilling true crime stories and how forensic science has been used in the case. Some cases have been solved through cutting-edge forensic techniques, while other cases remain unsolved. From fingerprints to criminal profiling, we've got every investigative angle covered. Forensic Tales is available weekly on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today and leave a review. That's Forensic Tales Podcast, also available at forensictales.com. Forensic Tales, a true crime podcast with a forensic twist.
All right. Now that we're back from that Genius's podcast, Genius because her name is Courtney. I asked and you
Delivered.
Thank you, God. You delivered. I say proceeded. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Sadie and I were talking earlier about how we're having tour hangover because there's so much anticipation of the election and a million other things going on. And now that it's over, I'm just like, this adrenaline crash is occurring. So please forgive us. We'll be better next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
No promises.
No.
Remember, we peaked at like episode 3, I decided.
They're still hanging out, so we're just doing the best we can.
Yep.
You guys, we got 3 reviews so far. One is titled Mommies, which is
Da, 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 da.
oh God. By AAAAAABBBBBCCCCCDDDDEEE was the name. I'm not sure how I found your podcast, but I've been binging the past 2 weeks. I am in Northwest Indiana and absolutely love you, sisters. Thank you. Oh, thanks for making me laugh, especially during this insane time. I am also in Northwest Indiana. AAAABBBCDE. Let's kick it.
Seriously. I mean, like, hello, Hoosier.
Yeah. Hello, Hoosier.
Fellow like-minded Hoosier. We need friends. So
let's be friends.
Yeah.
Mommies. Love it. Another one, A Couple of Cupcakes with a K, You Little Sweetheart, by Susie Home Faker. This is Courtney and Sadie X, sisters and storytellers, are compassionate, kind, and capable podcast hosts, telling stories that haven't been overdone on the true crime circuit. They are personable without making their personalities the focus of the show. They will kill as easy to listen to, and despite the tragic, frightening, and often infuriating cases they cover, this is the first podcast I've ever subscribed to via Patreon or any paid subscription. As a regular listener to almost 200 podcasts, that's high praise. That is extremely high praise.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
So much.
We got one more, Cupcake with a K. Running Kate. I just recently found this show and I'm a big fan. The dog mauling episode is one of the wildest stories I've ever heard. Legitimately laughed out loud multiple times. 5 stars, 2 thumbs. Give them all the trophies and awards because I love this show.
We will take it. We love it.
I'm only in it for the trophies and awards. That's why I started doing this in the first place.
Hey Court, I called you up one day. How many trophies and awards do you think we could get from this podcast idea that I have?
I watched the David Letterman show, the new David Letterman show on Netflix, which is a very, very
so good.
Happy place to go, you guys. Holy shit. It's cathartic. It's hilarious. It's interesting. It's like Mark Maron, but less shouty and with a big beard. It's great. But he goes into Ellen's office. Ellen DeGeneres is, I have to clarify which Ellen I'm referring to. Right. Oh, Ellen Page? No, Ellen DeGeneres. And she's got like 32 Emmys. I mean, it's just just an office full. It's like somebody pranked her and just filled her office with awards or something. So that's what I want. I want that many awards and trophies.
I will make it happen for you, Court. You know what else we have?
Tell me.
Patreon shout-outs.
Yeah. Who do we got?
We got Carrie D.
Yay, Carrie D. Like Carrie D. We already covered what that means.
I think we did that joke before, right?
Still holding up. Still going strong.
And another shout out to Shelby M.
Yay, Shelby M. Shelby makes people happy is what that stands for.
I bet she does. That's it.
Thank you, Shelby and Carrie.
We really appreciate your support so much.
So much, my God. Also, one last thing, and then we can move on with our lives, and maybe I'll go buy a burrito.
Ooh.
Watch the show Seduced on Stars if you are into this Nexium thing as deeply as I am.
I need to remember to do that.
You guys, The Vow on HBO is fine. The podcast is fine. Seduced is, they tell you, because if you're all having the same experience, like you are very into this whole sex cult thing and everything, but kind of like, yeah, that stuff's pretty bad, but it doesn't seem that bad. Watch Seduced. It is so bad. And the fact that they don't cover any of it on the podcast or the HBO show is crazy to me.
I wonder why.
I'll tell you why. I think this is my theory, because the podcast is, I think Sarah, one of the women who kind of was responsible, who's on The Vow, if you're watching HBO, The Vow. So Sarah and her husband, Nippy or Nipsey or whatever is Nippy, and then Mark and Bonnie to a lesser extent. But so Mark and Nippy were like the heads of SOP, which is the men's group. And SOP is very, 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 very bad. Was a very bad organization, like justifying rape and like basically sexually harassing and mentally torturing women for years. So I think that they were like, we don't want to talk about those things because it reflects very poorly on them. And I'm grateful that they sort of, got Keith Raniere and Allison and everybody else responsible, but they should have probably had some consequences too, based on what I've heard. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does.
They didn't want to implicate themselves in all these awful crimes.
No, and they say multiple times, we thought we were doing a good thing, and da-da-da, and it's like, yeah, I get that, but you guys, it was
like
very bad. Yeah.
Just because you think it's a good thing when it's clearly not, doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, so they really talk about the shit that went on, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So highly recommend it.
Okay,
Laura found it. I never would have heard of it or thought of it. And who has Stars? Nobody.
I actually do, which is so weird because I don't watch a lot of TV, but yeah, I'll totally watch it.
There's probably other good stuff on Stars. I just made fun of it, and it could be amazing. I'm sorry to Stars. I'm going to officially apologize to Stars.
Well, they are one of our sponsors, so.
Not now. Not ever.
Courtney has been begging me to watch Love on the Spectrum
for
months. And I needed, believe it or not, leading up to the election, I needed a warm blanket. I needed something easy to watch that made me feel good, that did not make me feel afraid.
Sick of watching The Office reruns for the 400th time.
Yeah, basically. So, I love the British Bake Off show, but they release them once a week. But anyway, I finally turned it on, and it's just like, Courtney kept saying, dude, it's the best. You have to watch it. It's so good. And I tried it one day, and I turned it on, and I just couldn't quite get going with it.
Yep.
And then I finally really did, and it's so good. It's so sweet. It's so funny. It's charming. It's
interesting.
Yes.
Oh, God.
It was so good. It got me through. I think I watched the last episode like the day after the election. It was perfect timing.
I've watched it all twice, and then you know how when you go on Netflix now and they do that brilliant thing where they run a preview when you go over the icon. And 2 nights ago I hovered over it, and the one kid who's so adorable and like goes on the really formal date and freaks the girl out.
Oh,
I can't remember his name.
I can't either.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
He started talking. It sucked me right back in. I was like, I have to watch it. Well, if I hear any of them talking, I have to watch it. I'm just, they inspire me. They make me feel happy. They make me feel just like the world is a beautiful place. So,
and I kept saying to Ryan, we have to go to Australia tomorrow. Like, sorry guys, I will bring my COVID with me. We're going to fucking Australia. I don't have COVID, but God,
yeah,
man.
I'm so
and then
glad
he
you
was like,
watched it.
"Yeah, it's what did he say? It's hot there." And I was like, "Dude, what?" And he, and I was like, "What do you have against Australia?" And he was like, I don't know why I'm being so negative. He's like, of course, let's go. Like, what am I doing?
I don't
so in
know
our
if I want to go to
hypothetical
Australia. I don't know.
In our very hypothetical conversation about going to Australia in the middle of a very bad pandemic here in the United States, my husband's like crushing my dreams when it is not going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, I love him. And
I get it. It's hard to commit. The older we get, the harder it is to travel.
I guess so. I know.
Based on shows about people on the spectrum dating.
Right. It's hot there.
Why'd you choose Australia? Love on the spectrum.
No, I've always wanted to go to Australia. It just really, when every single shot is the most beautiful background you've ever seen.
Yes.
I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta go.
Who's going to host us?
So many trips I want to take. I said to Laura today, I just can't wait to take a trip.
I know.
I want to take a trip. But we will.
Even just like thinking for me as a mom, when I think about traveling right now and all that entails, and
yep,
it won't always feel so hard.
No, we've made it this far. We got through 4 years. We got through, what are we, 10 months into this pandemic?
Yep. Stay home as much as you can through the winter.
We're going to be fine, you guys. We're going to be fine. I believe it. And in the meantime, we love you. If you are lonely, you can find us on social media. At Instagram. On Twitter. I guess you don't go at Instagram. You go on Instagram and then you go at They Will Kill and then you find us. On Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can email us your fears, loves, concerns, etc. at theywillkillpodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website, which is theywillkill.com.
Please rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah.
How many K's with the cupcake? No,
cupcake with a K. We got 2 of those and 1 mommy. So I need
5 more.
5 more cupcakes with a K, or mommies, or just, dealer's choice. Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
I think we're getting close to like 150 reviews, which is pretty solid, you guys. But get it, come on, do it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you,
AJ Bergantz, for our music.
I saw some twins in their Halloween costumes the other day.
And they are so cute.
I'm gonna eat them alive one
Don't
day.
eat them, and then you have to be on your own podcast, and that's weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason you shouldn't eat their twins. It's awkward. It would be awkward for me to cover you on this podcast.
Oh, I would miss them. And remember,
be kind. Be kind. We can do it. Don't
deep breaths.
Don't look on social media for your answers or
your
accurate representation of people's true hearts.
Yep.
Let's just stop with the internet. Let's just stop it.
Let's stop it.
Right?
Unless you're going there to give us a review.
Yeah, I actually really like the internet, but just not that part. So Anyway, just go there to find out, who Sean Penn dated in 1987. Fun stuff like that. Regular stuff. Important.
Prohibition era times.
Yes. We love you guys. We love you, and goodbye.
Good night and goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.